Sunday Morning on CBS. And here again is Jane Pauley.
When it comes to the most beloved cult classic films ever made, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is certainly a top contender. Tracy Smith takes us inside a movie-going experience that's been entertaining audiences for 5 decades and counting.
It's Saturday night in Belleville, Illinois. And the crowd outside the Lincoln Theater is here for a movie many have seen before.
Oh, hundreds of times.
Yeah, between the two of us, at least 150, maybe 200.
For the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which started out as a box office flop, this month marks 50 years of playing in theaters.
It does hold the record for being the longest continuously running film in cinematic history.
Jeffrey Weinstock is a media scholar and author of a book about Rocky Horror.
Its significance is also as being the preeminent cult film.
A campy parody of horror and sci-fi films with one unabashed theme.
There's no crime in giving yourself over to pleasure.
It's a film about sex in all its varied permutations and forms. And I think that remains at the heart of the appeal of the film.
It's just a party, Janet.
Well, I want to go.
The story is about a young couple who spend an eventful night at the mansion of a mad scientist who is, well, we'll let him tell you.
I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
Dr. Frank N. Furter, a sexual omnivore played by Tim Curry in his very first movie role.
Pretty groovy.
Curry, who today is living with paralysis caused by a stroke, was fearless as Frank.
He's a tough guy, and he expects the world to revolve around him.
This tough guy
Yeah,
in the heels.
but I got good at them.
Why don't you stay for the night? Or maybe a bite. I could show you my favorite obsession.
He says fans see Frank as a symbol of sexual freedom.
With blonde hair and a tan, and he's good for relieving my tension.
I've had people who said they left thinking that they would say the stuff that they'd always wanted to say and did, and I liked that.
Do you think you gave people permission to be who they truly are?
I think so.
Rocky Horror was written by the guy singing Time Warp, Richard O'Brien. It began as a stage musical in London in 1973. Legendary music producer Lou Adler saw the show early on and brought it to his club, the Roxy, in Los Angeles.
It's just a jump to the left.
Initially, when you first saw it, you said, there's something there that I can do something with?
Yeah, that's true. Somehow I said, this can play forever.
The LA show was a hit, so Adler and another producer put up about $1 million of their own money to turn it into a movie. It starred much of the original London cast, plus American singer Meatloaf. And 2 other Americans, future Oscar winner Susan Sarandon and Barry Bostwick, as the young couple Brad and Janet.
I'm glad we caught you at home. Could we use your phone? We're both in a bit of a hurry.
Right.
Janet at that time felt to me like a satire of every ingenue I'd ever played.
Oh, Brad.
As Sarandon told director Linus O'Brien in his new documentary, Strange Journey, out in theaters on September 26th, she had her character's number.
Somebody who's kind of wide-eyed and sweet, but underneath is a bitch, and just waiting to be liberated.
Touch it, touch it, touch it, touch me. I wanna be dirty.
I feel sexy.
Barry Bostwick made some discoveries of his own.
How did you find yourself in the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
How did I find myself? I found myself on 6-inch high heels and a bustier. When I looked in the mirror, I said, oh my God, that's me. And then I thought, That's okay. I like that part of me.
But when you were offered the movie, you jumped at it.
Jumped. To the left.
But then it was time to show the film to the studio, 20th Century Fox.
When you screamed for the Fox folks, what was the reaction?
Nothing.
What do you mean, nothing?
Not a word. They were sort of stunned, I believe.
You've never seen anything like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
And when the film was released in 1975, it flopped.
And it died a death. It was a failure. And I was crushed.
Did you think that's it?
I thought that it was bye-bye to movies.
Not just Rocky Horror, but you thought that was the end of your movie career?
I thought that it might well be, but I was tougher than that.
And so, it turns out, was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. A Fox advertising exec had an idea: show the movie at midnight.
People loved the film, came back, and brought somebody with them.
What kind of crowds were going to these midnight showings?
There was a gay crowd. They were outsiders. It was a party, and they related to each other.
The audience is what makes the movie.
And fans were doing more than just showing up.
It began with members of the audience talking back to the film.
On a strange journey.
And if it was funny, it stuck.
They dressed up as the characters.
Excellent movie. We're all quite normal, really.
They brought props. As the showing spread across the U.S., people began to act out the film in front of the screen. And just like in Illinois, they're part of the Rocky Horror experience to this day.
We get older people, younger people, conservative people, very liberal people.
What's wrong with coming to a movie and having a good time?
How did that initial investment turn out? How much money has Rocky Horror made?
I have 7 kids. I put everybody through school.
That's thanks to Rocky Horror.
The gross on a film that costs maybe $900,000, somewhere about $166 million. Pretty good. I'm, of course, extremely happy with the financial success, but not as much as I'm happy with the cultural success of Rocky Horror.
To mark the film's 50th, Disney's releasing it in 4K. Barry Bostwick and other cast members will host screenings across the U.S.
I think the happiest place on earth is the Rocky Horror Picture Show on a Friday and Saturday night.
It's a chance to reconsider the movie that's never gone away.
Don't dream it. For your first movie to run for 50 years is crazy.
Don't dream
At its heart, what's the message of Rocky Horror?
Will certainly be who you want to be and have the to do it.
So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
It'll be a very expensive picture.
Oh, I don't care about the money. I just want to work again. You don't know what it means to know that you want me.
Nothing would please me more, Norma, if it were possible.
And remember, darling, I don't work before 10 in the morning and never after 4:30 in the afternoon.
We're ready with the shot.
Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. And in the case of Sunset Boulevard, the rest of us do too. Tracy Smith examines the legacy of a film some say is one of the greatest ever made. On this, its 75th anniversary.
Still wonderful, isn't it? And no dialogue. We didn't need dialogue. We had faces.
There are some movies where just about every line is quotable.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures, used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
Sunset Boulevard, Billy Wilder's 1950 masterpiece, which premiered 75 years ago this month, was anything but small. The legendary director had Gloria Swanson as the rejected silent film star Norma Desmond, who seemed to be going quietly out of her mind, and William Holden as the failed screenwriter Joe Gillis, who became her kept man.
It's 10:15. What time are they supposed to get here?
Who?
The other guests.
There are no other guests. We don't want to share this night with other people. This is for you and me.
She was 52 at the time. William Holden was 31. The age difference was extraordinary. Today we might not think much of it, but it was big.
University of Texas Austin film professor Noah Eisenberg says the noir Sunset Boulevard tested the limits of what a 1950 audience would bear.
Nobody important, really. Just a movie writer with a couple of B pictures to his credit.
The opening scene is gruesome enough, with the murdered Joe Gillis face down in a swimming pool. But the film originally started in the LA morgue, with Joe and other cadavers talking about how they got there. The surviving footage is silent, but you get the idea.
It was too dark, too morbid. Audiences weren't ready for it. Instead, you have John Seitz's camera point-trained on that curb. You begin in the gutter. The film begins in the gutter.
The original film, now restored in glorious 4K ultra-high def, is available from Paramount, and you can clearly see William Holden's inner turmoil.
I've been hoping to run into you.
What for? To recover that knife you stuck in my back?
Holden's co-star, Nancy Olson, was only 21 when she played aspiring writer Betty Schaefer.
It says Paramount Pictures.
This is the original Sunset Boulevard script?
Yes. Can you believe it? It's the only script I have ever kept.
Ms. Olson, now 97, says William Holden's air of desperation in the film mirrored what was happening in his life.
His career was dying, and that's the character. If you look carefully, you will see one of the most extraordinary, real performances of a man who gave up his soul for survival.
Still, Nancy says they got along famously on set, especially when director Wilder lined them up for their first ever love scene in a crowded studio where some of the cast family members happened to be present.
And we got to the end where Bill says to my character, "What happened?" And I turn to him slowly and answer, "You did." Whereupon he takes me into his arms, gently starts to kiss me. Now, Billy said, "Do not separate until I say cut." And we both were enjoying this. And all of a sudden, there was a female voice saying, "Cut, damn it, cut." It was Mrs. Holden. I never got over it.
Oh, no.
But I learned something.
What's that?
Bill and I love to kiss.
And moviegoers loved the film. Sunset Boulevard got 11 Academy Award nominations.
And a new star is born in Sunset Boulevard, Miss Nancy Olson.
I was shocked when they called me and said, "The picture's up for the best award. You're up best, Bill, Gloria Swanson." Now, we didn't win, but we've outlasted everybody.
It helps that Sunset Boulevard was reborn as a musical from Andrew Lloyd Webber. Sir Andrew was intrigued by the story of Hollywood discarding aging stars and got the blessing of Billy Wilder, who by then was being gently phased out of Hollywood himself.
Did he, in a way, get the Norma Desmond treatment?
He does tell a wonderful story about him going to see some young movie executive who'd just been there. And this young executive says to him, "Well, Mr. Wilder, we're very impressed by this screenplay that you've done, but it would be really helpful if you could tell me what you have done in the past." And Billy turned around to this young executive and said, "You first."
Sunset Boulevard the Musical opened in London's West End in 1993, with Patti LuPone as Norma. And when they brought the show to LA and New York, Glenn Close played the lead.
With one smile, I'm the girl next door.
And in the latest, radically reconceived version, Norma was played by former pop star Nicole Scherzinger.
What was it like to see Nicole as Norma for
Well,
you?
I have always rated Nicole as one of the most astounding singers I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a few, and I could say that Nicole is right up there with the very, very, very top ones, and might even be the best.
This world's waited long enough.
Scherzinger brought a new level of intensity to Norma Desmond and took home a Tony this year.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. God bless you. And I can't believe that this is still up. I want to take it home. I want to take it home and I want to put this in my garage.
The show closed last month, and we took Nicole back to the theater just before they took down all the signs.
Oh yes, I think someone stole my face.
It's half of your face. Oh my gosh.
It's half of stole my face. Yes, so it's crazy because it's just a shell of itself now. And this is where all the magic happened.
What do you think Sunset Boulevard says about the entertainment industry and what it does to older women?
I mean, it's difficult that the industry kind of puts an expiration date on you when you've actually lived a life and actually finally have something really meaningful to say.
And teach your friends some manners. Tell him without me, you wouldn't have any job, because without me, there wouldn't be any Paramount studio.
You're right, Miss Desmond.
Hollywood has changed, and so has our parent company, Paramount. But 75 years on, Sunset Boulevard still holds up.
Let's get a good look at you.
For people who love movies, cinephiles, and film geeks, whatever we want to call them today, you can just luxuriate in a movie like Sunset Boulevard. It's like a warm bath.
Gloria Swanson herself luxuriated in playing a fading movie queen. Even back then, she somehow knew that Sunset Boulevard would make her a legend.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Was Gloria Swanson anything like Norma Desmond?
No. She was much more real and sensible. And she was the only person that understood that this movie would live forever and that she would be remembered forever.
She knew it.
And that it was a story that had a truth to it that would never be forgotten.
You see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark.
Hey, you guys okay over there?
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Mo Rocca.
50 years ago, a new movie warned you'll never go in the water again. And it wasn't just hype. The movie, of course, was Jaws, and it changed Hollywood and our thoughts about a moonlight swim forever. We dive in with Ben Mankiewicz.
It's too neat.
It's too neat?
Oh, yeah, by far.
That is the Orca, the boat from Jaws. It's a replica, of course. The original one sank, weighed down by a 5-ton man-eating shark.
It needs to be slightly bigger.
The guy next to the Orca, however, is the real thing. It's been a while since Richard Dreyfuss was on Martha's Vineyard.
What are your memories of Jaws? Are they good? Are they strong?
They're great.
But back then, he did everything he could not to be in the movie.
I turned the film down a couple of times
because I was thinking that it was going to be a bitch to shoot. And I was not wrong. But it was such an adventure. And if you had to pick one word to describe the shoot, it was waiting.
Now 77, Dreyfuss remembers the standing around, but he also knows Jaws, made here on the island in the summer of 1974, turned him into a Hollywood star.
Is there ever a moment where you think we're making one of the greatest outdoor films of all time?
No.
No. When did you realize it?
First, I had to realize that we were obviously making a turkey, and this thing was going to crash and burn.
The production was a legendary slog. This was the first Hollywood movie to shoot on the unpredictable open seas of the Atlantic. The mechanical shark rarely worked in salt water, and the budget more than doubled. But Steven Spielberg, this 27-year-old director making his first big studio picture, turned misfortune into opportunity. Jaws became one of the most influential American films of the 20th century and ushered in the summer blockbuster. Set 50 years ago, over the July 4th weekend, the plot, says Richard Dreyfuss, is simple.
This was the story of three guys against this shark. It was this human thing.
Now! Shoot!
And we were really good. And we knew it. Wow, that kid getting bitten. And if you remember the beginning of the film, you are terrified before you see the shark.
Before the shark brought terror to the big screen, it arrived at the bookstore. In 1974, Peter Benchley's novel became a bestseller. Spielberg read it and immediately wanted to direct the movie version, though he was unhappy with early drafts, so he asked a friend, screenwriter Carl Gottlieb, to rip it to shreds.
Steven sent it to me with a note on the cover that said, eviscerate it.
Eviscerate it.
Eviscerate it. And I wrote a lengthy memo.
A lot of details.
Yeah. I say, if we do our jobs right, people will feel about going in the water the way they felt about taking a shower after Psycho.
They did their jobs all right, led by those three guys. Robert Shaw as Quint, the hunter with a shark-infested backstory. Roy Scheider, the police chief afraid of the water.
I'm not going to waste my time arguing with a man who's lining up to be a hot lunch.
And Dreyfuss, who changed his mind about making Jaws after seeing and hating his own performance in the film he'd just made, The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz.
I said, if I'm not working when this film comes out, I'll never work again. And so I went back to Steven and begged him for the part. And he gave it to me. They had started shooting April 2nd. I was cast on the 3rd. My first day of shooting was the 4th. That was the way it all went.
Not for me. I had nothing to lose. I was getting older. I was 32. That's almost ancient.
Lorraine Gary played Ellen Brody, the police chief's wife.
And it sounded like fun.
What about being cast in this sounded like fun to you?
Going on location to Martha's Vineyard, I had never been there. Robert Shaw sounded like fun.
Well, I think I know what that means, but what does that mean?
You know what it means, and so do you in the audience.
Her experience with Roy Scheider, that was less fun.
I feel closer to you than I did to the man who played my husband. I think Roy was very protective of his career. I think he was at that point in his career where he hadn't quite made it to being a big-time star. And perhaps he thought that I wasn't top drawer enough to be his wife. I felt older and larger, a big head.
Literally big head.
Literally, I mean, he told me, your head is bigger than mine in the two-shot.
Bring it up with it, Chief!
In addition to writing the script, Carl Gottlieb played newspaperman Harry Meadows.
I want to get on the state wire service and see if Boston will pick it up and go national. Call Dave Axelrod.
Gottlieb's favorite moment
Yes?
Didn't even need dialogue. Gottlieb, who earned roughly $13,000 for writing and acting in Jaws,
Come on, please, I need a picture for the paper.
says much of the dark humor was not on the page.
We were blessed with a cast that could kind of ad-lib in character.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Most actors, if you say ad-lib, makes their part bigger. But here, people were ad-libbing relatively selflessly. When I spotted something potentially funny, or if there was humor in something, I would say to Stephen, I think we got a laugh here if we changed the line.
Stephen was always responsive to that, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there were the delays. As the shooting schedule tripled from 55 days to 159, the actors started to get under each other's skin.
Stop playing with yourself, Hooper.
The thing about Robert Shaw, he knew that he had me psychologically, like with a little pin through my stomach. And if he said that I couldn't do 25 sit-ups, I couldn't, but I could. And he would say, you can't jump off the top of the Orca into the water. And I couldn't, but I could.
He had you.
He had me.
Yeah.
I spoke to Dreyfuss at the Harborview Hotel, where some of the cast and crew stayed, and where Oscar-winning editor Verna Fields cut much of the movie. It's also the scene of a Jaws food fight.
Do you remember who threw the first lobster roll? Is that?
Well, it was either Roy or me.
Jaws surfaced on June 20th, 1975. For the first time ever, a movie opened nationwide. And for the first time ever, a movie made more than $100 million.
Why did Jaws work as well as it did?
You know, why is the Mona Lisa still a hit? It had that combination of things, any 3 of which or 5 of which would have made it a hit, but it had like 10 of those.
Jaws changed Hollywood, as well as the lives of everyone associated with it. Steven Spielberg has become the defining director of his generation, and the legacies of Robert Shaw, Roy Scheider, and Richard Dreyfuss are forever linked to this film, a movie that millions of us still think about every single time we stroll toward the ocean.
I will never walk from the beach into the water so that the water comes up to my chest. If and when that ever happens, I'll either be dead or in a mental institution. The fact that I can't see what's happening underneath is so real to me, I can't do it.
So before Jaws and after Jaws?
Before Jaws, I didn't care.
Keep kicking.
In American literary history, few novels have loomed as large as F. Scott Fitzgerald's 1925 classic, The Great Gatsby. Lee Cowan takes us back in time.
Dotting the water's edge of Long Island's Manhasset Bay, the opulence of the homes speaks for itself, but not nearly as well as F. Scott Fitzgerald once spoke of that opulence.
A breeze blew through the room, blew curtains in at one end and out the other like pale flags, twisting them up toward the frosted wedding cake of the ceiling.
That wedding cake of a ceiling likely did look down on Gatsby-esque parties back in the day.
The bar is in full swing, and floating rounds of cocktails permeate the garden outside until the air is alive with chatter and laughter and casual innuendo.
I can almost hear the music playing and feel the spirits of, the parties that went on here.
Fitzgerald lived in a much more modest house just a few miles away while he was writing The Great Gatsby. Elena and George Scheedinger, though, believe he must have visited here. They imagine him while tilting his head back to down a bootleg cocktail. Fitzgerald took note and then wrote their ceiling into his novel.
I absolutely believe that to be true.
That Fitzgerald was here.
Yeah. His novel came out 100 years ago this month. Scholars consider it a literary masterpiece. Hollywood finds it irresistible.
How do you do, old sport? I'm Gatsby.
And so does Broadway. There's even a recent graphic novel of Gatsby that brings Fitzgerald's characters to life. Starting with James Gatz, he believed he was too poor to marry the rich girl of his dreams, so he reinvents himself.
I'm afraid I haven't been a very good host, old sport. You see, I'm Gatsby.
It's less about love and more about longing, his especially, for Daisy Buchanan, just across the bay.
I don't want to go home.
And don't.
They were so near, and yet worlds apart.
I hadn't realized that either side of the bay that they were so close to one another, and that you really, you almost could look into the windows on the other side.
That's Blake Hazard, the great-granddaughter of Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. That's her grandmother as a baby. They are celebrated relatives who she says are looming lovingly large on this centennial.
I've gotten used to witnessing these kinds of things about my family, about my great-grandfather with other people, and sharing it, and I think that feels right.
Many, many places inspired Scott.
Gatsby tours have become popular.
This is where the Great Gatsby is set.
This one run by Kevin C. Fitzpatrick, an author and New York historian.
There's a point where we're in the middle of Manhasset Bay, and you can look to the left to West Egg and to the right to East Egg, and it just clicks, because they can picture that green light on that dock.
Few of those mansions remain. Most never survived the Great Depression. Torn down to make room for the new. But back in Manhattan, some of the Gatsby lore remains, especially here at the Plaza Hotel.
There's a story that Zelda would come in here and just go round and round and round.
It was a temple to the times where important people did important things, including Blake's great-grandparents.
They both really wanted to be in the world of the world, writing about what they saw, chronicling it all, and
having a good time doing it.
And having a great time doing it.
The Fitzgeralds were not wealthy themselves. While they did enjoy money, they were amused with its perils, too.
They were careless people, Tom and Daisy. They smashed up things and creatures and then retreated back into their money or their vast carelessness or whatever it was that kept them together.
He was drawn to these things, but also very much an observer of them, felt very outside of, certainly of the wealthy set.
He did rub elbows with the wealthy set at Princeton. Although he later dropped out, his papers found their way back.
Let's take a look.
Oh, wow.
Including the only surviving handwritten manuscript of Gatsby.
Here we have entire, half a page scribbled out. The whole book is like this. And
Emma Sarconi is a rare book librarian at Princeton's Special Collections at the Firestone Library.
He was very exacting as to what he wanted the book to be.
At the time, Fitzgerald was coming off 2 big hits, and he believed that Gatsby would surpass both of them. But Gatsby landed with a thud.
How many copies did it originally sell?
Less than 20,000.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How did he react to the mixed reviews?
He was devastated. He wrote a letter to his daughter Scotty sort of in his final years, lamenting the fact that none of her friends would know who he was.
So what changed? Well, the times, perhaps. During World War II, the newly formed Council on Books in Wartime shipped millions of pocket-sized books to keep the troops entertained overseas.
This copy is relatively small,
including 155,000 copies of The Great Gatsby.
We wouldn't be talking about this book today if this edition hadn't come out.
Fitzgerald died long before that, at the age of 44. At that point, he thought he was a failure.
He'd really fallen into obscurity. Famously, very few people attended his funeral.
And yet today, Gatsby rubs dust jackets with the likes of Jane Austen, Steinbeck, and Hemingway. For many, The Great Gatsby is indeed the great American novel.
It sounds silly, but I wish Scott could be here. I just think he'd be so thrilled.
Yeah. And surprised, probably,
And
right?
surprised. Certainly surprised.
Among the few keepsakes that Blake has are her great-grandmother's necklace, given to Zelda by Scott, as well as this ring. Coincidence the stone is green? Well, we'll never know.
Gatsby believed in the green light.
That haunting green light blinks for all of us. Dreams, perfection, whatever eludes us, we still keep trying.
So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.
It's gone from something mysterious to something ubiquitous. David Pogue tells us about a special milestone for YouTube.
All right, so here we are in front of the elephants.
20 years ago this past week, YouTube co-founder Jawed Karim posted the very first YouTube video.
And that's pretty much all there is to say.
YouTube was so new.
Just what is YouTube, anyway?
That our Charles Osgood had to define it.
YouTube is a website that lets just about anybody post videos for the whole world to see.
Today, it doesn't need explaining. YouTube is the second most visited website on Earth, after Google, which bought YouTube for $1.65 billion in 2006.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Every single day, we collectively watch more than 1 billion hours of YouTube videos. Funny videos.
Ow, Charlie!
How-to videos.
Applying the alcohol to the stain with a spray bottle works well.
Cat videos. In these first 20 years, we've uploaded 20 billion videos to YouTube. This one is the most watched of all. About 16 billion views.
People watch YouTube more than they watch any other streaming service on their big screens in their living rooms now.
You're saying people now watch YouTube on their TV sets more than they watch Netflix?
That's correct.
David Craig teaches media and culture at the University of Southern California at Annenberg. He says that a key moment was the day YouTube started paying people for making videos.
YouTube, of course, came along and said, why don't we give you some advertising revenue in exchange for the fact that you're helping us grow our service.
Today, YouTube roughly splits the ad revenue with the creator.
It does probably change a little bit for some of the bigger name players out there who they obviously need to ensure are very happy with the service.
What's the best pasta in history?
Let's talk about that. Those bigger name players include Rhett McLaughlin and Link Neal, creators of a daily show called Good Mythical Morning. Good Mythical Morning! 34 million subscribers have watched their shows 14 billion times. Whoa, he's alive!
Two old friends hanging out where you can be the third person in that friendship. We kind of stumbled upon this secret formula for having people come back every single day.
I think that they just put cameras up so that we don't run away.
They may film in a traditional TV studio. What is the difference between what we're seeing here and the set of a TV show?
I'd like to say our talent.
But there's a big difference between YouTube and TV.
A big part of it is responding to the audience. You've got comments, right? So there's ways that you can connect with people online.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and comment below with what you want to see next.
Creators on YouTube specifically are not content creators. They are for-profit community organizers. They are using this platform to build online communities that they can build a dozen different business models off of.
You know, we've done a few different tours, we've written a few books, sweatshirts and hoodies and magnets and pins and all kinds of ways for people to express their affinity for this community.
And you can start to go bigger and sell hair products.
Do you?
Oh yeah. If we're gonna spend as much time as we both spend on our hair,
true,
we are going to monetize it.
We're now stranded on this deserted island and
Nobody's monetized it better than Jimmy Donaldson, better known as Mr. Beast.
That concludes the tour.
Whose videos of colossal giveaways
Turn around and look at your brand new home.
and physical challenges
We are currently hundreds of feet in the air. Look at that.
have made him the most followed YouTuber of all, 380 million fans.
I am going to start a 5-hour timer.
Last year, Amazon Prime spent $100 million to produce a Mr. Beast game show.
If I were you, I would run fast.
Is being a YouTube star now considered a greater ambition than becoming a television star?
I hate to tell you this, David, but that's been the case now for over 10 years. They've been surveying young people, and they've all said they want to grow up to be a creator or an influencer more than a celebrity or, I'm sorry to say, a journalist.
I can't work like this.
Close together, guys.
Rhett and Link don't think that the advertising industry has quite caught up with YouTube's dominance.
If you look at the 18 to 34 age group, we outperform all of the other late night shows combined. But if you look at revenue that's being spent on those shows versus our show, it's not quite there yet.
And honestly, this is one of the reasons that we have really been interested in winning an Emmy. You know, we're as part of the cultural conversation as much as many shows that have won Emmys.
Over the past 2 decades, YouTube has had its controversies. YouTube's detractors also worry about the algorithm. It studies which videos seem to grab your attention and feeds you more videos like them. YouTube has been accused of letting the algorithm lead people to extreme viewpoints.
We have this enormous diversity of opinions on our platform. We don't allow adult content. We obviously don't allow spam and fraud, and we have policies to protect young people and kids on the platform, but it's fundamentally a platform for freedom of speech. Well, I do have a YouTube channel.
Neil Mohan is the CEO of YouTube. When you're a guest on somebody else's YouTube video, does that video get a spike in the numbers?
It definitively does not.
Happy birthday, YouTube.
So, 20th anniversary, what are the next few years going to be like?
One of the areas that I'm very excited about is artificial intelligence. You can tell YouTube when you're creating a video, put us in Central Park and change the background and have these types of birds because it's a spring day. And that magical technology exists today.
Is there something about evolution or psychology that makes us so interested in watching other people?
I think it goes back to we as human beings are social beings. We connect with other people. We are storytellers. That is what happens billions of times a day on YouTube, and it's back to our mission. Give everyone a voice and show them the world.
Full on double rainbow all the way across the sky. Oh my God.
Califasane this morning has the inside scoop on a milestone at one of America's most prestigious magazines.
What we have here basically is the whole history of the New Yorker.
The New Yorker, the beloved weekly magazine, is celebrating its 100th birthday.
It's 1 million cards.
I've been a staff writer at the magazine since 2008, and Bruce Diones has been at the New Yorker since, well, not quite since the beginning.
When did you start working here at the magazine?
1978.
You must have been, what, 3 or 4 years old?
I was in the cradle. They left me on the doorstep.
What is your official title here?
I don't really have one. I aid and abet all the crimes that happen here.
Yes.
There's that guy that's always around in
An
the office.
expert on both the people and the magazine.
That's right.
You can tell me what we published in 1979, but you can also tell me who's mad at whom.
Yeah, and I can tell you why they're mad at that,
Yes.
and why that thing in '79 didn't work out.
Yeah, exactly right.
The New Yorker is known for its reporting and for its idiosyncrasies. Each issue also includes cartoons, a short story, and a few poems. The front cover features not a photograph, but a painting.
Do you actually know what's in all these different boxes and folders?
Now I do. It takes a second.
One of Bruce's many responsibilities is to organize the magazine's archive.
We have every magazine, every issue since the first one. We have scrapbooks, papers, and all sorts of weird little ephemera put in people's offices. Kind of fun, interesting stuff. These are all the artists.
The New Yorker may be America's leading literary magazine, but its story starts with an artist, Ray Irvin.
So all the artwork in the New Yorker is based on his work.
And this is his first ever Cover, 15 cents back in February 1925.
That's right. He did the headers, talk of the
All the
town,
little
goings on.
illustrations
He
above,
did
yep.
all of that. He sort of figured all of that out for us.
Including this, a fancy young man in a top hat inspecting a butterfly. His name is Eustace Tilley, and he became the magazine's mascot, for better or worse.
At long last, I'm going to tell you that I'm ambivalent about Eustace Tilley.
Ambivalent about Eustace Tilley?
Yeah, because some people look at it and they think it's a symbol of snobbery or overweening pride. When it began, it was meant to be a joke about snobbery.
David Remnick was a 39-year-old reporter when, in 1998, he was named the 5th editor of The New Yorker.
I would consider you smart and ruggedly handsome even if you weren't my boss.
I know you would.
But you are my boss, and you've been editor of The New Yorker for some time.
26 years. And we're going to have a whole bunch of them now.
David's job is to keep the writers happy and, as he sometimes reminds me, productive. His job is also to figure out how and how much to modernize a 100-year-old magazine that once specialized in light-hearted articles about Manhattan society. The founding editor was Harold Ross.
This is from the first issue of The New Yorker, February 21st, 1925. It is not edited for the old lady in Dubuque.
Yeah.
What did he have against Iowa?
I don't know. To him, Dubuque included Queens, Los Angeles.
The magazine's reach now extends far past Manhattan.
We have more readers in the state of California than we do in the state of New York, including for the old lady in Dubuque. It's a magazine that has deep, deep reporting and prides itself on accuracy and fact-checking.
What is a fact-checker?
Somebody who takes a story submitted by someone like you, and before we publish it, make sure that it is accurate, balanced, fair, and as complete as it can be.
Fair? That seems like a hard thing to figure out.
I know that's hard for you. It's not hard for us.
It's hard for everyone.
It's hard for everyone.
Fergus McIntosh leads the magazine's battalion of fact-checkers. More than 24. I spoke with a handful of them.
And everything gets checked, right? Not just articles, but poems, short stories, cartoons.
Teresa Matthew is the department's associate director. She remembers one cartoon about a penguin meeting his girlfriend's parents.
He says, we prefer the term Arctic American, and this is factually incorrect because penguins live in the Antarctic.
But Antarctic American wouldn't have been as funny.
Not pithy enough, no.
Not pithy enough.
Yeah. All of my emails to the wonderful cartoon editor about any potential issues I find, almost always I get a response of, thank you so much, Teresa. We will not be taking that change.
Somewhere along the way, The New Yorker became a serious magazine, publishing writers ranging from J.D. Salinger to James Baldwin, from the film critic Pauline Kael to the investigative journalist Ronan Farrow.
The relationship between writers and editors is a complicated one.
The New York Public Library will celebrate the magazine's anniversary with an exhibition later this month. So what is The New Yorker in 2025?
It is not just one thing. It's not, Sports Illustrated was about one thing, and it's easy to understand for advertisers and readers. It's a more complicated thing. It may be a little bit tricky to invite people in.
Is The New Yorker itself more political than it used to be?
I think it's certainly more political than when it started out. That's for damn sure.
Would it be wrong to describe The New Yorker as a liberal magazine?
No, I don't think it would be wrong. I think there's a wide range. I don't think it's an assertively ideological publication. I think reporting is at its center more than finger-wagging.
These are anxious times for the media industry, and The New Yorker is not immune. The magazine had a round of layoffs in 2023. But The New Yorker has a steady base of about 1.2 million subscribers, many of whom read it on their phones.
How do we write shorter, faster things as well as do the other thing? So it's an addition to, it's not instead of. Right. We have a pretty robust audio operation, 4 or 5 podcasts. We do video, but I'm thinking forward. I'm thinking about how do we have a New Yorker that has the possibility of celebrating 200 years, because in American life, in the history of the media, that's unusual. Just ask the people who used to read Life magazine.
For Bruce Diones, The New Yorker's 100th birthday is a good excuse to revisit ancient history.
There was a guy named Fred Keefe when I came here in '78, and he was a little guy like me with a bow tie, and he would sit in the corner and type out letters to the editor answers.
Thank you for your letter. We're afraid there isn't much to see in our offices. The editors and writers are all shut away in little cubicles and are very upset if people pop in on them.
In fact, those old editors and writers and artists and cartoonists are still here in spirit and also in these boxes. The party's been going for 100 years, and new people are still being invited to join in.
Maybe in another 100 years, someone will come and flip through whatever the newest version of that archives is.
That's right, and I'm in it now.
You're in it now.
You're in it too. So it's like that's kind of the thrill of it. It's
Yeah.
like you realize that, oh, this has always been going on.
And it's all connected.
We're all a part of it.
Yeah.
In Queens, New York, more than 200 people lined up to pay $200 for a shoe most of them already owned. The Nike Air Jordan. The most successful basketball shoe in history turns 40 this year, and yet it almost didn't happen.
He did not want to be there. And he had told his agent, I'm not going.
Howard White was in the room back in 1984 when Michael Jordan, then a rookie short on NBA experience but long on potential, was basically dragged to Oregon by his parents to meet with a relatively small sneaker company called Nike.
This is bigger than anything that we've done. You know, typically a great player would get like $100,000, but this was so unique in terms of just doing it.
The offer, $2.5 million to wear their shoes, triple what anyone else in the league was making.
Air Jordan by Nike.
Jordan took the deal, and the rest is sneaker history.
Nothing's hotter.
When Nike launched the Air Jordans back in 1985, they hoped to sell $3 million worth of product. Instead, they sold $126 million in 1 year.
There's a kaboom.
Look out.
What a jam! Here's Jordan down the middle all the way.
Much of that success was thanks to Jordan's incredible play on the court.
Kaboom! And that's what they came to see, didn't they?
But there was also Nike's marketing approach, which was groundbreaking in its own right, joining the cultural conversation in ways few commercials for basketball shoes ever had.
It's gotta be the shoe. It's gotta be the shoe. The shoe.
And don't forget the shoe's design itself, a process that managed to blend sports technology with a set of aesthetic principles that would make Jordans as much a fashion statement as a basketball shoe, as evidenced by the Christian Dior Jordans Howard White was wearing for our interview, which retail for up to $17,000.
In order to translate what he did as a man into what we do as a brand, you have to start with a series of principles. We call them ethos.
40 years later, that design work falls to Jason Maiden, Chief Design Officer for the Jordan brand, which these days is a standalone division within Nike that generates some $7 billion a year by itself.
You first start with connectivity, why this product has relevance and reverence. Then you put that into a very strict process that we call visioneering. And so what's interesting is we have a playbook. I can't show you what's in it.
But you can show me the outside?
I can show you the cover. It's beautiful. So
if you could peek inside, you'd probably see one of the designs for their yearly Air Jordan release. Yes, Nike has been releasing a new pair of Jordans every year for the last 40 years.
Does a lot of the stuff that your team designs, does Michael Jordan get eyes on it still, a lot of it? Like how central is he to the operation here in 2025, 40 years in?
Oh, he's very integral. He's very integral to the operation. He sees everything. He trusts us a lot. He has opinions on things that are near and dear to him.
It has given me my life's purpose. Legendary.
Sean Williams founded the Social Studies Community Academy in Brooklyn, a program dedicated to studying, promoting, and collecting shoes.
Sneakers are wearable art. You're giving the sneakers a level of depth and AKA storytelling that convinces the consumer that they're making the right purchase when they buy these sneakers.
But for Howard White, who still works at Nike and still talks to Michael Jordan often, the Air Jordan success is because it's not actually the story of a shoe. It's the story of something much bigger. It's totally transcended basketball at this point, right?
There have been a lot of basketball shoes. It's not about basketball. And if this simple article of footwear can make people interpret themselves in a way that gives them just the power to believe more in themselves, that's what the Jordan brand is about.
With a record 45 million of us expected to be on the move this holiday weekend, Chris Van Cleve looks back at 100 years of flying on America's oldest airline.
Good morning, welcome aboard. We can take 5 passengers.
Five more, here we go.
When you picture a garage sale,
I can't beat this deal.
you might think of your neighbor's driveway down the street. Not an aviation workshop in the shadow of the world's busiest airport in Atlanta, where Delta Airlines holds their monthly surplus sale.
Here, we have another bag.
How are you going to get all this stuff home?
We actually flew down with empty bags.
Delta fans came from as far as Michigan and even Korea to buy the stuff the airline no longer needs, from seats to engine parts, and a chance, these folks say, to have a piece of airplane history.
I actually need a bar cart in my apartment of these exact dimensions.
Sarah Zeiss came in search of this piece of Delta, a well-used beverage cart. Drive slow. Though getting it home will be a journey all its own. Proceeds from the sale go right across the parking lot to the Delta Flight Museum, now celebrating the airline's 100th year, a first for an American carrier.
This is one of my favorite little items.
It's a century of service that started without beverage carts or passengers, but due to a tiny pest. Marie Force is the archives director here.
Does Delta owe its existence to a boll weevil
It does.
infestation?
It is the most unique beginning of a U.S. airline, I think. It's the only airline that started as a crop dusting company.
Before Delta, it was Huff Dalen Dusters, started in 1925 in Macon, Georgia.
After the first growing season, they realized that most of the center of the business was in the Mississippi Delta region. And so that's where the name Delta comes from.
And in 1929, Delta Airlines founder C.E. Woolman expanded the company from pest control to people. Its first passenger flight from Dallas, Texas to Jackson, Mississippi, with 2 stops in Louisiana along the way.
How much was that first ticket?
That first ticket was $90 round trip.
About $1,700 today. Expensive, and not for everyone.
At that time, about 80% of Delta's passengers were businessmen, and they're trying to speed up their business. So a 5-hour flight would take about 12 hours by train.
Nearly a century after that first flight, Delta now has more than 5,000 a day. The airline has survived mergers, recessions, and bankruptcy, growing from that single route to a nationwide carrier as it grew into the global force we know today.
Fasten your seatbelt by inserting the metal tip into the buckle.
And if you've flown Delta lately, you've seen flight attendant Susan Slater in the pre-flight safety video.
And keep it fastened whenever you're seated.
If you've flown Delta in the last 60 years, you may have shared a cabin with either Susan or Kay Carpenter.
And you started at Delta when?
In January of 1966. And I started in March 2nd, 1964.
They started during the golden age of air travel, that romanticized era of flights with exceptional service, extravagant meals, and everyone dressed to the nines.
And you had to be unmarried. Your hair couldn't touch a collar. You had a weight restriction. Back then, I think I weighed 103 pounds, and I was 5'2.5". I'm 5 feet now, barely, and not 103.
What was it about the job that you think
I had
spoke to you
no
so
idea
much?
what the job was. All I knew is that this was glamour personified.
We certainly had a so-called golden age of flying back in the early 1960s, but it was less convenient. There were fewer flights. You often had to connect, and it certainly wasn't as reliable and safe as it is today.
Atmosphere Research Group's Henry Hartevelt is an airline industry analyst who says no need to be quite so nostalgic.
We're in a new type of golden age now where flying is a lot more accessible. You can either buy or create a much nicer journey for yourself. You can buy an extra legroom seat. You can pay for priority boarding. And by the way, if you don't need or value those things, or perhaps can't afford it, you're not being charged for services that you don't want.
Air travel is one of the great bargains. If you think about the average fare today versus where it was 30, 40 years ago, it's less than half of what you pay in real dollars.
Ed Bastian is the CEO of Delta Airlines. While low fares are sought after by some flyers, Delta has built its business around a premium experience.
The single biggest reason why people chose an airline was fare. Whoever had the lowest cost won. And Delta, well, yes, we have a product to compete on the lower end. The majority of our revenue comes from higher end tickets.
Their 100th summer is about to take flight amid clouds of uncertainty, worries about a slowing economy and aviation safety. But Bastian says it could still be their busiest ever as he looks to the future.
So what do you see for Delta's next 100 years? Paint me a picture of what the next century of Delta looks like.
When you think in the United States, air travel is relatively ubiquitous. You can jump on a plane almost any hour of the day and get to almost anywhere you want, pretty easily. However, when you think about the world and you realize that only 1 in 5 people in the world have even been on an airplane, it's pretty remarkable. So we need to figure out ways to make it accessible, to make it affordable, to make it sustainable.
And I think part of that legacy is just how much the world has shrunk in those 100 years.
Yeah, that's what we do. We make the world a more connected place, a smaller place, and that's needed now more than ever.
Delta helped shrink the world in the 20th century, and they hope that growth continues thanks to folks like Susan Slater and Kay Carpenter.
Kay, what about you? What makes you keep coming back year after year?
Well, it's been a wonderful adventure. I never dreamed that I would be here for this long. When I started, we had just small airplanes. We flew to small cities, and now we fly to 6 continents. So I tell all these new hire flight attendants that to always remember that 1 mile on a highway is going to take you exactly 1 mile. But a mile on a runway will take you anywhere. Mo Rocca starts us off this morning with a trip back in time to America's revolutionary past.
The Allied ring is relentlessly tightening around the right.
Newsreels tell the story of World War II. The early still photography of Matthew Brady chronicles the horrors of the Civil War. But with the American Revolution, which began 250 years ago this month, it can be harder to appreciate the life and death stakes in the colonists' fight for freedom. What did it feel like in Lexington and Concord, the 2 Massachusetts towns, where one April day in 1775, the Patriots and British Redcoats first exchanged fire?
Do you all think a lot about what the mood was like early that morning on April 19th?
We discuss it a lot. We read accounts, we read diaries.
Larissa Saskin, William Rose, and John Nichols are members of the Lexington Minutemen Reenactors Group.
Can you understand how upset they were?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's impossible for me, as someone who was born in the 80s, to ever imagine what it had been like to have my freedoms taken as much as theirs were. To be pushed into that proverbial corner where my only choice is to fight the world's best army.
When we think about the revolution, most people, they start with, the taxes, the Stamp Act, the Townsend duties, back in the 1760s. By the time you get to 1775, it's a whole different ballgame.
By that point, the mother country and her Massachusetts colony were beyond estranged, says Jim Hollister, a park ranger at Minuteman National Historical Park. Parliament had imposed onerous taxes without representation, sent thousands of British troops to occupy Boston, and, most egregiously, had stripped Massachusetts of the power to govern itself, power it had enjoyed for nearly a century.
What gets somebody, living a comfortable life to then take the most dramatic action?
Do they feel humiliated?
Absolutely. Humiliated and threatened.
On April 18, 1775, 700 British soldiers began marching 18 miles through the night from Boston to Concord to seize arms that had been stockpiled by Patriot militiamen.
There's not supposed to be a Massachusetts army. That is treason.
Punishable by...
by death, really.
So they're really taking a risk.
They are taking a huge risk.
About halfway between Boston and Concord, the town of Lexington, which happened to be where two future founding fathers, Sam Adams and John Hancock, were lying low. Hancock was one of the wealthiest men in the colonies and a major financier of the Patriot cause. Adams had helped plan the Boston Tea Party.
Paul Revere rides into town at about what time?
He gets here at about 11:30 p.m.
Yes, Paul Revere, who famously sounded the alarm about the approaching redcoats.
John Hancock, Sam Adams, and Paul Revere were standing right here. A chill runs up your spine.
According to the Lexington History Museum's Sarah McDonough, Revere made a special stop here to urge Adams and Hancock to flee.
John was very hesitant to leave. There are men outside who are going to fight the might of the British Empire. He wants to be a part of that. He sees himself as a leader, and he very much was. Sam Adams was said to have sort of placed his hand on John's shoulder and said, "We don't belong here."
The two leaders escaped under cover of darkness as 77 brave Patriot militiamen stood guns drawn at sunrise on April 19th as the world's most vaunted army approached. It's not known who fired the first shot, but one thing is clear.
It does not go well for the Patriots with this first battle.
No, not at all.
The colonists scattered, 8 of them killed, a terrible toll for this tight-knit community.
All of these people were intimately connected, which makes the wave of grief that much worse because everyone lost someone.
Now word is radiating. They've killed our people in Lexington. So the militiamen that are turning out after that are infuriated.
Jim Hollister showed us where those Minutemen, called so because they were ready at a moment's notice, gathered later that morning.
And they're up on the top of that hill. There's over 400 of them.
To take on the Redcoats as they arrived at Concord's North Bridge.
Then a shot rings out from the British side by all accounts, and then a second and a third. And one of the Minutemen is grazed in the forehead, and then Major Buttrick gives the fateful order, "Fire, for God's sake, fire." And that was the first time that a colonial officer ordered his Minutemen to fire on the King's soldiers. Once the Minutemen open fire, the casualties in the British are very heavy, and they just break and they run.
There's no turning back.
There's no turning back. And for the Minutemen, imagine seeing the backs of British soldiers running from you.
Throughout their grueling 18-mile retreat, the Redcoats took fire from a growing number of colonial militiamen fighting from behind rocks and trees. This was terrain the Patriots knew well. It was now the British suffering humiliation. By the time their day ended in Boston, more than 70 of them were dead and hundreds more injured.
What changed that day?
The idea that the crisis could be settled peacefully. The idea that they were going to be able to return to their normal lives. The world that they knew was gone.
The following month, the Second Continental Congress convened in Philadelphia. There, delegates, including John Hancock and Sam Adams, appointed George Washington the commander of the newly formed Continental Army. The Revolutionary War had begun. And for reenactor William Rose, himself a military veteran, the story of that fateful April day will always be worth retelling.
Bring those guns up. Fire!
Maybe no one will remember me 50 years from now, but if some kid remembers me because I gave him a great story that he can relate to, think about the immigrants, 1607 Jamestown or 1620 Plymouth or 20 minutes ago in the southern border or anyplace else. They're coming here for a reason, for the ability to not have somebody else having a boot on your neck. If we can get rid of all the nonsense, the red and the blue and the value judgments, and just look at that reason, that's what America stands for. And if I can convince one little kid that this is the place to keep striving for that, then that kid can be us dressed up in another 50 years.